So, after discussing about the critical constants related with liquefaction of the gases, today first we are going to discuss about the methods of liquefaction of the gases, and there are generally three methods by which we can liquefy the gas, and the first method is known as Linde's method. Linde's method. And actually, this method depends on Joule-Thomson effect. Linde's method depends on Joule-Thomson effect, and we have already discussed during Joule-Thomson effect, a real gas is expanded adiabatically from region of higher pressure to lower pressure, due to which the energy of the gas will decrease, and that's why the gas get converted into liquid. The second method, that is Claude's method. Claude's method. And in this method, the adiabatic expansion of the gas is done involving mechanical work. The adiabatic expansion of the gas is done involving mechanical work. Same way as adiabatic expansion is there, so temperature will decrease, due to which the gas converted into liquid. And the third method will be, that is adiabatic demagnetization. Adiabatic demagnetization. Adiabatic demagnetization. As in this method, the paramagnetic gases which are having unpaired electron are dimerized to get converted into diamagnetic substance. That's why the molecules will come closer, and due to which the gases will get converted into liquids. And after discussing this, now we have to discuss one more important topic related with the gaseous state, and that is the equation of states other than van der Waals gas equation. Equation of states other than van der Waals gas equation, which can be used to explain the real gases. And the first one will be Dieterician equation. Dieterician equation. Only mathematical formulation can be asked in your exam, and that equation will be P into V minus B, that is equal to RT into exponential raised to power minus A over upon RTB. This equation is known as Dieterician equation, where P is pressure, V is the volume, A and B are the constant, R is universal gas constant, T is the temperature, and R is universal gas constant. Next equation will be, and that is known as Barthelot equation. Barthelot equation. And in this case, the equation might be P plus A upon T V square into V minus B, that is equal to RT. P plus A upon TV square into V minus B is equal to RT. Here P is pressure, V is volume, A and B are the Barthelot constants, T is temperature, R is universal gas constant. Similarly, the next equation might be Celsius equation. Next equation might be Celsius equation. Here the formula will be slightly changed. P plus A upon T into V plus C square into V minus B, that is equal to R, where A, B, C are the constants. Next equation will be whole equation. And in this case, pressure should be equal to RT upon V minus B minus A upon V into V minus B plus C upon V square. This is known as Gauss equation. And the last one is very important one, and that equation is known as Camerlin-Onnes equation. Camerlin-Onnes equation. Camerlin-Onnes equation. Camerlin-Onnes equation. And according to this equation, PV is equal to RT into 1 plus B upon V plus C upon V square. And this equation is also known as Virial equation, where BC are known as viral coefficients. Now we have to discuss one more important topic, and that is the collision number. That is the collision number denoted by NC. Collision frequency denoted by Z, and mean free path. Mean free path denoted by N. First we have to discuss their definition, then we will discuss their formulas. The first one is collision number. As from the name we are getting impression, it is the total number of collisions made by a single gas molecule with other molecules present in the container. I am repeating, it is the number of collisions made by a single gas molecule with other molecule present in the cylinder. That is known as collision number, denoted by NC, and mathematically it should be root 2 pi sigma square V, or you can write it U N. The collision number should be equal to root 2 pi sigma square U N, where pi is mathematical constant, sigma is known as molecular diameter. U is root mean square velocity. Earlier we have discussed root mean square velocity is root 3 RT by M, and N is the number of molecules. Now we have to discuss about the collision number, collision frequency. It is denoted by Z, and it is the average collision made by two gas molecules. Average collision made by gas molecule in a length of 1 centimeter cube in unit time, that is known as collision frequency, and mathematically it should be NC into N upon 2. NC into N upon 2. So here we can put the formula, then it comes out to be pi sigma square V, or sorry, U N square upon root 2. And the last one will be your mean free path. Mean free path means the average distance between two successive collisions. That is known as mean free path, and it should be equal to V or U upon NC. So its value will be 1 upon root 2 pi square N. 1 upon root 2 pi square N. These all can be asked in your objective exams only. Their formulas will be there, might be numericals. Now we have to discuss about the specific heat of the gases. Specific heat, molar specific heat. The molar specific heat and Poisson's ratio. In first chapter we have discussed itself. Basically the specific heat can be of two types. Specific heat at constant pressure and specific heat at constant volume. And when we will multiply it by the molecular mass, then it becomes molar specific heat, and their relationship is that Cp minus Cv, that is equal to R. Cp minus Cv is equal to R. In thermodynamics chapter we will discuss. And for a monoatomic gas, the ratio of Cp upon Cv, that will be equal to pi by 2R upon 3 by 2R, and that comes out to be 1.66. For monatomic gas, Poisson's ratio is 1.66. For diatomic gas, it comes out to be 1.40, and for triatomic gas, it should be approximately 1.33. I am repeating, for monatomic, Poisson's ratio is 1.66, diatomic 1.40, and for triatomic it is 1.33. Now, after discussing these all things, now we have to start the second topic of this chapter, and that topic is liquid state. Second topic of this chapter, that is the liquid state. Basically, liquid state is the state of matter which is having definite mass, definite volume, but not definite shape. Liquid state is the state of matter which has definite mass, definite volume, but not definite shape, and it will acquire the shape of the container in which it is kept. Now, we have to discuss about their general properties, and the first one is mass. First property, that is known as mass. H, we know the mass of any liquid can be measured with a simple technique. First, measure the weight of the empty container, then fill the container with the liquid, then mass of the liquid should be equal to difference of these two. Its SI unit will be kilogram, and CGS units will be gram. Next will be volume. Volume means the storing capacity of any substance, and the volume of a liquid should be equal to volume of the container. Hence, its SI unit will be meter cube. And CGS unit will be centimeter cube. Apart from this, other units are also possible. Liter is there, ml is there, decimeter cube is there, but the largest unit is meter cube. So 1 meter cube will be equal to 10 is to power 3 liter, that is equal to 10 is to power 3 decimeter cube, that is equal to 10 is to power 6 centimeter cube, and that should be equal to 10 is to power 6 ml. We have discussed all these things in the first chapter, as well as the properties of the gaseous state. Third is density. Same way, density is the mass per unit volume. So unit will be kilogram per meter cube. SI, CGS, gram per centimeter cube. Now we have to discuss the two very important terms related with it, and those terms are boiling point, and evaporation. It is a very important topic, and question may be there regarding their difference. What is the basic difference between boiling and evaporation? Basic difference between boiling and evaporation. So, boiling means the conversion of liquid into gaseous state or vapor state at its boiling point. Conversion of liquid into vapor state or gaseous state at its boiling point, that is known as boiling. Now, what about evaporation? Actually, evaporation is the escaping tendency of the high kinetic energy molecule from the surface of the liquid, that is known as evaporation. The escaping tendency of high kinetic energy molecule from the surface of the liquid, that is known as evaporation, or we can say that the conversion of a liquid into vapors at room temperature, that is known as evaporation. Next point will be the boiling can take place. Boiling can take place only at boiling point. Boiling can take place only at boiling point, while evaporation can take place at any temperature. Evaporation can take place at any temperature. Third point will be boiling is a bulk phenomena. Boiling is a bulk phenomena. Evaporation is surface phenomena. Evaporation is surface phenomena. Next, boiling is fast. Boiling is fast, but evaporation is not fast. Evaporation is not fast, it is slow. Next, boiling is non-spontaneous. Boiling is non-spontaneous, but evaporation is spontaneous. Evaporation is spontaneous. Next, boiling. For boiling, we need the external heat. For boiling, we need external heat. For evaporation, we do not need the external heat. We do not need the external heat. Next point is very, very important. The boiling result in heating of the substance or hotness. Boiling result in heating of substance or hotness, while evaporation results in cooling of the substance. Evaporation results in cooling of the substance. Now question might be there in your exam. Why evaporation results in cooling? Why evaporation results in cooling always? So reason is that, as according to definition of evaporation, the high kinetic energy molecules from the surface of the liquid escape out. Hence, due to removal of those particles, the temperature will fall down and that results in cooling. I am repeating. During evaporation, the high kinetic energy molecules get removed from the surface of the liquid, due to which the temperature will fall down and that results in cooling. Now, we have to discuss about the factors on which evaporation will depend. Factors on which evaporation will depend. And the first factor, that is the nature of the liquid. First factor on which the evaporation depends, that is the nature of the liquid. That is the nature of the liquid. H, we know the evaporation, in evaporation the high kinetic energy molecule will escape out. So weaker will be the intermolecular forces. Weaker will be the intermolecular forces. Easily will be the escaping. Hence, more will be evaporation. Easily will be the escaping. More will be evaporation. Second factor is temperature. Second factor is temperature. And last few lectures we have discussed the kinetic energy of any gas molecule is directly proportional to temperature, and formula will be kinetic energy is equal to 3 by 2 nRT. Hence, higher will be the temperature, more will be the kinetic energy. So more will be escaping out of the molecules, hence more will be the evaporation. So we can say that evaporation is directly proportional to temperature. Next factor will be surface area of the container. Surface area of the container. Surface area of the container. As I am saying, evaporation is a surface phenomena. So it will depend on the extent of surface area. So more will be the surface area of the container, easily will be the escaping out of the molecule, hence higher will be the evaporation, rate of evaporation. We can see from our practical life or daily life too. If we want to cool a substance in a small soil container, then it will take time. But if we will cool it in a large surface substance, then it will cool down easily. So we can say that more will be the surface area, easily will be the evaporation. And the fourth factor, that is the humidity. Humidity in air. So more will be the humidity. Humidity means amount of water vapors in atmosphere. Humidity means amount of water vapors in atmosphere. So more will be the humidity, lesser will be the evaporation. More will be humidity, lesser will be the evaporation. From this we can know, or we can get the information. Evaporation will generally depend on four factors. The first one is nature of the liquid, second one is the temperature, third one is surface area of the container, and fourth one is the humidity in air. Now we have to discuss a more important topic, which is very, very important, and that topic is vapor pressure. That topic is vapor pressure. That topic is known as vapor pressure. First of all, we have to know what is vapor pressure, then we will discuss the factors on which vapor pressure will depend. As I have mentioned, the high kinetic energy molecule will escape out from the gas surface of the liquid. Hence, when a liquid is kept in a closed container, its evaporation will take place, and due to which some molecule will be in vapor phase while other molecules will be in liquid phase. A equilibrium will exist, and at that equilibrium the molecules in vapor phase will exert a pressure on surface of this liquid, and that pressure is known as vapor pressure. I am repeating, vapor pressure may be defined as the pressure exerted by the vapors on the surface of a liquid in a closed container. The pressure exerted by the vapors on the surface of liquid in a closed container which is in equilibrium with them, that is known as vapor pressure. I am repeating, vapor pressure may be defined as the pressure exerted by the vapors on the surface of the liquid in a closed container which is in equilibrium with them, that is known as vapor pressure. Now we have to discuss the factors on which vapor pressure will depend. Factors on which vapor pressure will depend. And the first factor is nature of the liquid. Nature of the liquid. First factor on which vapor pressure of a liquid will depend, that is known as nature of the liquid. As we have already discussed, weaker will be the intermolecular forces, more will be the evaporation, hence higher will be the vapor pressure. I am repeating, weaker will be the intermolecular forces, more will be the evaporation, hence more will be the vapor pressure. Next is temperature. Next factor is temperature. As I have mentioned, with increase of temperature, the kinetic energy of the gas molecule will increase, hence more molecule will be in vapor phase, hence more will be the vapor pressure. Or we can say that with increase of temperature, the vapor pressure will increase, and that variation can be shown with help of Celsius-Clapeyron equation. Celsius-Clapeyron equation. And this equation can be stated in different ways. First one is the differential form, and in differential form it will be d natural log of T over dt, that is equal to delta H vaporization upon R T square. D natural log of T over dt, that is equal to delta H vaporization upon R T square, where natural log means P is the pressure, T is temperature, R is universal gas constant, and in integrated form this equation will be log of P2 by P1, that is equal to delta H vaporization upon 2.303 R into 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Sorry, 1 by T2 minus 1 by T1. This should be the equation. 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Delta H vaporization over 2.303 R 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2.